Hi everyone. I'm Maria Teresa Bonet, and I'm a project manager with Art in Public Places, or AIPP, for the city of Austin. Presenting with me, and this project's co-manager is Alex Herrera. Thank you so much for joining us tonight to talk about our 2021-2023 pre-qualified artist pool. We're really excited to have you here. I want to quickly acknowledge the other staff members who are here supporting tonight's meeting. Sue Lamb, AIPP's Program Manager, and Laura Odegaard, Senior Project Manager. Thank you to them. As we said, we are recording this meeting, so we've turned off the video and sound for public participants in order to achieve the best production quality possible in our recording. In addition, the recording of this meeting will be posted online and on AIPP's opportunities page after the meeting concludes. We should also be emailing out a link to the recording to everybody who is registered through Eventbrite. All right, let's begin. Next slide, please. So tonight we're going to cover some general information about AIPP's program, the specifics of the 2021 pre-qualified artist pool, and later how to apply for it. The presentation part of the meeting will last about 45 minutes, and then it will be followed by a question and answer period in which we'll be answering your questions. To ask a question, please type in the Zoom chat. Feel free to add your questions anytime during the meeting. If you add your questions during the presentation period, we'll circle back to them during the Q&A. So really, anytime, we want them. All right, if you're joining the Zoom meeting from your computer, click the chat icon at the bottom of your screen, circled there in yellow, to access the chat window and type in your questions. Make sure you're chatting to everybody so all the participants can see the questions. Next slide, please. So to access in the chat window on a mobile device, click participants, then on the next screen, you'll click chats. You can type in your question here. Again, we just asked that you're chatting to everybody. All right, let's get started again, diving into AIPP. All right, a little bit about Art in Public Places. Art in Public Places is a program of the Cultural Arts Division that is within the Austin Economic Development. So just thinking about it being nested, slowly going down. All right, next slide. AIPP is funded by a citywide ordinance that sets aside 2% of eligible capital improvement projects budgets, sorry. Those eligible projects include things like the creation and renovation of city libraries, parks, fire stations, you name it. Once a permanent artwork is created through AIPP, it goes in the City of Austin's public art collection. There are over 325 public artworks in the collection right now, the locations for which you can see on the pictured map. Next slide, please. So here are some examples of the works in the collection. As you can see, there's a diversity of forms, materials, scales, and a mix of interior and exterior pieces. If you would like more information on how AIPP is funded, the ordinance, or the work that we do, you can visit our website, austincreates.com, or our entire collection is also listed on publicartarchive.org. You can explore the collection there. And as always, feel free to reach out to AIPP staff with any questions as well. Next slide, please. So, all right, y'all. The Art in Public Places pre-qualified pool. Yay, we're getting into it. Now we're going to take a big picture look at the pre-qualified artist pool. Probably asking right now, what do you mean when we say those words pre-qualified? The pool is a group of practicing artists whose applications have been reviewed and accepted, or in other words, pre-qualified, by a jury of arts professionals and project advisors. The pool is a group of practicing artists who, pardon me. The group is then pre-qualified to design and fabricate works of art for eligible CIP projects, which we covered before. The AAPP opportunities can come in any number of shapes, sizes, and specifics, you name it. In the same respects, they also come in a range of budgets. You're looking at artwork budgets between $30,000 to over $500,000. Let's just say there's room for artists in all stages of their careers. Next, AAPP can then use the pool as a tool to streamline the application selection projects. So why might the pool be used for the artist selection? So it can be times when it matches project timeline, scope, and/or previously identified project outcomes. Or in the case of a highly specialized field of opportunity. More than anything, we hope you come away understanding the value of a pre-qualified pool and feeling empowered to apply. For AIPP, it's truly a great tool among many that, when appropriate, can help us select an artist for a project. Now we're moving on to our goals. Here are some of them that we hope to achieve, generally in the artworks that an artist from the pool might be hired to create. So again, just generally, we are interested in seeing works that are capable of transforming space, that are widely accessible, and that can spark community and community conversations. We'd like to see the artworks commissioned by AAPP reflect the diversity of Austin citizens and innovatively contribute to the collection as a whole. And of course, the work should be durable and permanent. And then when the pool is used to select an artist or artist team for a specific AAPP project of opportunity, there'll be another set of written goals to that commissioned opportunity. And those goals will help guideline the selection of an artist from the pool for that particular project opportunity. I would just try to think about and factor in these goals when you're answering the short answer questions on the application, which we'll talk about a little more later. So, who can apply to the pool? This is an important question that I'm sure you're all asking yourselves right now. I would be too. So in order to apply, you need to be a practicing visual artist or artist team, which to us means that you have some sort of body of work. You need to be at least 18 years old and live in the United States and or territories. These include Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, North Mariana Islands, Guam, and American Samoa. Please note, unlike the case with CIP tempo projects, artists and artist teams that are under current City of Austin AIPP contract are eligible to apply to the pre-qualified pool. As always, we encourage artists and artist team from the 7-county Austin metropolitan area to apply. P.S. You'll see at this last part, we recognize there are some artist teams which were previously accepted into AAPP's 2018-2020 local and national pre-qualified pool, as well as the more recent corridor construction artist pool. As a result, we invite those who fall into this category to opt into this current one. We will cover more on that a little later in the presentation. However, if you have any questions right now, feel free to write them in the chat. Unfortunately, full-time permanent City of Austin employees and project consultants, as well as their employees, are ineligible to apply. Next slide, please. All right, so what are we looking for? AAPP is seeking practicing artists, artist teams, and visual arts professionals who have made art creation a focus of their practice. This is so important. I'm going to say it again. We're interested in those who have made art creation the focus. Really looking for that. Next, experience. Ask yourself, have you worked with arts budgets of $5,000 or more? Or with materials suitable for indoor and or outdoor public settings? Now, this next part is desired as written, but it's not required, so don't let it stop you from applying. Practice with site-specific design or collaborations with other artists, design professionals, or community members. Once again, while we would love to see examples of public art, don't let not having these keep you from applying. We want to know and truly care about the other qualification listed too. All right, I am now going to hand it off to Alex Herrera, and she'll be covering the next slides on.
Thanks, Maria Teresa. All right, so I'll get started or keep it going with the selection process. So how do you apply for this project? Everyone who's interested in being included in the 21-23 pool should apply by the deadline of January 7th to publicartist.org /Austin AIPP. All the opt-in applications that Maria Teresa was mentioning earlier from the 18 to 20 pre-qualified local and national pools and the corridor pools, all those applications will just be automatically accepted. Then for new applications, not in those existing pools, they're going to undergo a jury review process, which means that a group of 5 arts professionals and advisors will be reading through all those applications and will be evaluating them and recommending applicants to be included in the 21-23 pool. Before that recommendation becomes official, it will go to the 2 bodies that oversee our program, which are the Austin Art in Public Places program and the Austin Arts Commission. And so they'll approve those recommendations, making them final. And then once the pool is finalized, we'll let all the applicants know what the results of the jury process were. And then, as Maria Teresa was mentioning, so the pool is one tool for selecting artists for AIPP projects. There are many options for selecting artists for individual projects, including selecting an artist or artist team directly from the pool, shortlisting artists or teams for interviews or paid proposals, releasing an invitational call to artists in the pool, or releasing a general open call to the general public as well. So in summary, we're not using the pool exclusively for AIPP projects. It's one tool we use, and the AIPP panel and the Arts Commission help our staff determine like what's the best tool for selection per AIPP project. So here are the selection criteria that the jury are going to be using to evaluate new applications. They include things like artistic ability, success on past projects, including things like how did you collaborate with others on those projects? Were you able to stay on time and within budget for those projects? And they're also looking at your interest in creating public art. And these are just kind of our standard selection criteria tools in general. All right, who's going to be on the jury? So we have 5 arts professionals who will be making the recommendation about how to include, who to include in the pool. Their names are listed here. You can see those individuals include at least 2 locals and 2 artists as well. But we have a mix of people from around the country and across disciplines. They also include artists as well as arts administrators and an architect. We also have some local advisors listed at the bottom of the screen, including partners at the Austin History Center and Six Square, an AAPP panelist, and 2 arts commissioners. And they're also going to be reading through the applications and consulting the jurors on their selection. Here are some additional policies for the pool that are just good to be aware of. I'm going to read through some of them because they're all kind of unique. I think the most important one is to understand is that inclusion in the pool does not necessarily guarantee a commission with AIPP. Again, the pool is just one tool that we use for artist selection. And then all artists in the pool will be listed on AIPP's publicartist.org landing page with a little artwork thumbnail and the artist's name. So the pool is always publicly available for people to look at and review. And then in addition to that, AIPP may also share out that pool list to like partners and other programs who might come to us and ask if we have like a recommended artist pool. And they might use that for their own selection processes. I just want to remind everyone to please turn off your camera and mute yourselves for the meeting because we are recording. Thanks. All right, here's the overall timeline for pool selection, which is subject to change. The call was released on October 31st, and we're holding the first of 2 artist information meetings today, November 18th, and the second one will be held on December 10th. Then all applications are going to be due on January 7th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And depending on how many applications we get, we're hoping that the artist selection for new applications can happen in January with approval and notices sent out to all the applicants in February. Okay, so how do you apply for the pool or how do you opt in? AIPP only accepts applications through publicartist.org. Shown here is AIPP's publicartist.org landing page. That's publicartist.org/Austin AIPP. From here, you can click into the 21-23 pre-qualified artist pool link, and that will take you to the application. So from the application, you'll be able to read through all the requirements and the information details on the pool, but you'll need to log into your publicartist.org account to actually fill out the application. Creating an account with Public Artist is free. In your application, you must upload or include a resume of work experience, 10 images of artworks with descriptions. Feel free to use multiple detail images of like a single artwork. You don't need to show 10 unique works. You could just show a few essentially and have multiple shots from each. And then you'll need to include 3 contacts for reference. These don't need to be a letter of reference. You just need like a name, email address, phone number. After that, there are short answers to 4 to 5 questions to answer. These are kind of in lieu of a traditional letter of interest, and we're just hoping that the question format is a bit more targeted in the way that like you present yourself to the jury and just easier to fill out. Overall, the questions cover your background as an artist, your public art experience, the kind of topics and questions that you're interested in exploring in your art, and your ability and interest in carrying out community engagement, which is a big part of a lot of AIPP projects. And then for teams, there's a 5th question just about how your team works together, including like your individual roles and how long you've been working together as a team. And then again, those goals, the pool goals that Maria Teresa was mentioning earlier, I would just be thinking about those as you're crafting answers to your questions, because they're also something that the jury and advisors will be thinking about and referencing as well. The final part of the application is a demographic survey. The City of Austin is committed to facilitating more access to viewing, creating, and decision-making behind public art. In order to make that a reality, we're asking all applicants to complete 5 demographic questions. Please answer the survey questions as you're able to on the application. You can also choose to not answer these questions if you prefer by selecting prefer not to answer for each question. And then I just wanted to speak specifically to the opt-in artists. If you were an artist who was accepted into AIPP's 2018 to 2020 national or local pre-qualified artist pools, or if you were accepted into the corridor construction program artist pools, you are an opt-in artist, and you should have received an email from AIPP a couple weeks ago letting you know that, one, you can just opt into the pool, which means if you submit an application, you're automatically in. And then 2, that we had drafted an application for you in publicartist.org based on information that you had used in previous application on the site. And we just did this hoping to make the opt-in process easier for you guys. And so all you need to do is to go into publicartist.org and go into My Applications, and there should be a drafted application in there for you. You can click on it, and if you would like to update your resume, like images and references, you're totally welcome to. And then you'll just need to fill out the short answer questions and demographic survey questions and just hit submit by January 7th, and you'll be automatically included in the pool. So if you're taking anything away from this meeting, here are some important highlights to remember. Again, this is a national call, and we're encouraging local artists to apply as well. You can apply by publicartist.org/Austin AIPP by the deadline of January 7th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, something to just keep in mind for anyone on the East Coast, West Coast, or on Mountain Time. And that deadline holds for both new applicants and opt-in artists. And then when you're filling out your application, just know that, or just be thinking about those goals that we talked about before as you answer, and just know that those short answers are your way of speaking directly to the jury and advisors. And then finally, you are applying with your qualifications as an artist. We are not asking for any proposals through this application. AIPP staff is always here to help you as you're applying. Myself and Maria Teresa are the main points of contact on this project and or on this pool. And if you're having any technical issues, I also recommend reaching out directly to the publicartist.org staff. They're really great. Their contact information is listed on this slide and it's also available on their website. And before we get into the Q&A, I also wanted to mention another call that AIPP has open right now. Our Tempo 2021 call is open. So if you're a local artist and you're thinking like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm totally ready for a permanent public artwork, I just kind of want to get my feet wet in the public art realm, or if you're interested in just like creating temporary art, even if you've done permanent work before, consider applying to the Tempo program. It's a really great opportunity to like learn about the processes, requirements, and collaboration skills needed to work in public art. And going through the program or receiving a Tempo commission is just a good resume builder for future opportunities in public art. So applications are due on January 26th. It's one application for both 2D and 3D projects, and you can take a look at the application for more details as well as the contact information for the project managers on those projects. Okay, finally, what questions do you guys have? Go ahead and type them into the chat now if you haven't already. If you don't want to ask any questions now, or if you think of some later, you're always welcome to contact myself or Maria Teresa directly. Our contact information is listed on the screen here. We're here to help you as a resource as you apply. And then just a reminder that a recording of this meeting will be posted to the AIPP opportunities page. That link is listed on the screen here. We'll also summarize the questions and answers that we get about the pool application process and link them as like a PDF on that page as well. So if for any reason we're not able to answer your questions tonight, like just know we'll be posting the answers to those questions. So now I'm going to turn it over to Maria Teresa, who's going to be reading out some of the questions you guys had, and we'll both respond.
Okay, it'll help if I unmute myself. Sorry.
Very good.
Our first question is, when submitting an application, do we submit one for an individual artist and another for a team of artists? So I just want to, my question here is that, just kind of answer it, sorry. If you're applying as an individual artist, you would submit an application for yourself. This talks a little bit about a question down below. However, if you're applying as an artist team, it would still be one application. However, you would then be answering question 5. You need to say who is in your artist team, what are their roles, how do you work together, and things of that sort. However, I'm also now going to pass it on to Alex to clarify anything I may have missed. Perhaps we could go back to that slide as well.
Yeah, and that's a good question, because I think like usually for individual project opportunities with AIPP, you can only apply as only an artist or artist team. I'm sorry, you can only apply as like one or the other. But I'm not sure about what our rules are for the pool. Sue, if you want to take that, that'd be awesome.
I'd be happy to. If you choose to want to apply as both, you may apply as both. You may not get selected as both. Because we consider an artist to be separate from an artist team, as far as how we categorize you within the Art and Public Places collection, once you've created a commission, I believe that you can submit as both to the pool. It just means that you have the potential to be selected for one and not the other, just so that you know, and you can make your own decision about how you would like to be selected and if that makes the most sense for you to apply as both.
Thanks, Sue. I also might suggest, just for like clarity's sake, if you are applying as both, like maybe make a publicartist.org profile for the team. So it's just really easy for us as administrators to distinguish like what is your individual application and what's your team application, because otherwise it might get a little confusing on our end.
I agree, that would be helpful for us as well. Our next question is, what is the number of artists currently in the pool? And is there a cap on how many are accepted? I'm going to take that for that second question. So there's not a cap on how many are accepted. We're not trying to cap it and only accept 100 artists, and that's a limit. We select artists based on the criteria that we have talked about, eligibility, and how those artists or artist teams fit within what we're looking for and what we see potential projects in such of those. Alex, do you want to speak to, I can't remember the exact number of artists who could potentially be in the pool if they choose to opt in?
Sure. We don't have a, like Maria Teresa said, we don't have a cap. We don't have like a predetermined number. The number of opt-in artists that that we've extended that opt-in invitation to is 221, which is pretty large, but we don't know how many of those folks are going to opt in. We hope a lot, take us up on the opportunity. So we're not sure where the number is going to land, but it'll be determined during the jury process.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. The next question we have, could we please get a quick review of the program goal slides again?
Sure.
Awesome.
And I'll just, oh, there we go. I'll just mention, we kind of abbreviated these a little bit for the presentation's sake. There's more kind of words if you look at the actual application, but these are kind of just like a shorthand of those goals. And yeah, and again, they're just kind of general goals for like what we'd like to see happen, like the kind of artwork that we'd like to see overall commissioned for the program.
And you'll be able to see these not just in the presentation we post and the recording along with it, but when and if you choose to start a profile, it will be linked in the RFQ that we have posted as part of the public artist application. It will also be there in English and Spanish. So while we're on the slide, I'll go on to the next question. It talks again about how many slots are awarded for the artist pool. Just to go back, there's not a single, not a number of slots that we're looking to award, just as there's not a cap on it. Next question was applying as part of a team and as an individual. Sue helped us answer this question, and just as a reminder is that you can, in this situation, for the pool, it's unique time that you can apply as both. However, that does not mean that you will be accepted as both in both situations. Alex had the great idea that we think it would be helpful if you were to create two different profiles, one as an individual and one as a team. The next question that we have coming in is typically how many projects in a year? Alex, do you want to talk about this? Because my answer would be is entirely variable. However, I think maybe you have a clear answer that you could provide.
No, that's totally right. It varies, and we don't know for what projects the pool will be used within that 21 to 23 period. Yeah, that's the kind of summary answer. I will say that the most we've used, we used the 18 to 20 local pool quite a few times in the last round, about 6 times within that like couple year time period. Because we didn't have as many opportunities for national artists, like that's part of one of the reasons that we want to carry everyone forward that was selected to be in that last 18 to 20 pool, so they can stay eligible for opportunities that we might have coming up.
All right, guys, any questions? We want them all. Do you allow artists who do mainly framed work? Is there a need for framed art for some projects to fill spaces? Sue or Alex, would you like to take this question?
I'll take it. I would like to.
Thank you.
So that suggests that Lisa is asking about 2D work mainly, and we don't do a lot of purchasing of interior works that hang on a wall like a framed piece. But that doesn't mean that artists who work mainly in that way don't have opportunities through public art. They do. we would like to work with artists and help them understand how they can bring their work into sort of a more robust experience that would be in outdoors. So you'd have to be willing to work with maybe an architect or an engineer or other artists with more experience in working within the public realm to realize a concept. And it is a great experience and it's kind of an adventure. So you might consider applying to maybe think about your work coming forward in a different way. If that doesn't appeal to you, I will say that there are not very many opportunities for framed work through the Art in Public Places program. You might consider applying to the People's Gallery when that opportunity comes up and having your artwork decorating or being part of the expression of the City Hall in 2021 or 2022, whenever we can bring that that program back due to the pandemic. So I'll leave it there.
That's great. Very helpful. Pardon me, I did not get to this one. It just somehow moved. So is it better to have a PDF of a resume or fill out the application template? Alex, you have seen this come in a variety of ways. Would you speak to this and how you found it easier?
Sure. I don't think there's any difference or advantage one over the other. I think like the benefit of submitting the resume as a PDF is like you get to customize it, you know, more stylistically. But the template also comes through very clear and it's easy to read. So I don't really think there's an advantage one over the other.
Okay, thanks. Next one is, are there any other benefits such as networking with other artists once in the pool? Is there any social media group or place for artists operating in Austin? So a subset of this question is that this pool is not just, it's not limited for use just for art in public places within the city of Austin. This pool is shared out and is used for any other public entity who is interested in doing it. Alex, Sue, or Penny, if you are still on the line, may be better to speak to those other networking or social media groups such as that. I do not have the answer to that question.
I love this question. It's actually a really great idea. It's something that we're trying to do through our projects more, is to create cohorts of artists, especially when we're working with, say, a suite of artists that are accepted to Tempo each year, that we work with them together so that they can learn together about how to do public art. Typically, Tempo artists don't have as much experience in doing public art. And then also learn together and work with each other and maybe share tips or resources as they're moving through their projects. We hadn't thought about using the pre-qualified pools as an opportunity for interaction between the artists who are accepted, but I think it's a great idea. And in this new COVID pandemic world where we're also virtual, it seems like a very reasonable thing that we might be able to do. So thank you for that question. And stay tuned. We may end up creating something like that. So thank you.
I do see that last comment that just came in on willing to volunteer to help social media engagement and connect with others. Just, Sue, will you make a note of it, please?
Will do. Thank you.
The next one that we had a little bit above, do I have to participate in Tempo first before applying to this pool? You definitely don't. This is open to everybody at all stages in their careers and practices and such as that. We have somebody coming, the next one is saying that they are in Bell County, so they don't seem to allow to apply for things like People's Gallery or typical programs. And they're asking, is there any way to expand it out from Austin a little. Sue, could you help us, Alex and I, with that?
Sure. So we do have a requirement for some of our programs to be local to Austin, and we have defined local to Austin as Travis County and the 6 counties that touch Travis. That doesn't mean that you aren't able to apply to this though, because this is a national call. So this is your opportunity to get your name into an application pool for Austin Art in Public Places, and I hope that you do that.
Thanks. Any more questions? And remember, if the question doesn't come to you now, or you want to just send it to us individually, you always have that option on the current slide. You see our contact information for both Alex and myself. So does AIPP ever pick artists for certain projects that are on the table? Alex, you want to take this one?
Sure. I think the way I'm interpreting this question, and the asker can let me know if I'm getting it wrong, is like asking if staff individually or like the AIPP program staff ever selects an artist, like a direct select for a project. And I would say like direct selects do happen, but they are rare and they're like usually under very specific circumstances. And if we do that, it's with the buy-in approval of the AIPP panel and the Arts Commission as well, who kind of pre-vet that like this actually is a good and like equitable like selection pathway for that particular project. Sue, do you want to say anything about that? Or however you might interpret the question if you're interpreting differently?
Yeah, I did want to just clarify, because we're using the word "we" in this presentation, that just to clarify that city staff never makes any selections of artists, either for pools or for projects. That always goes to a group of visual arts professionals to make those selections, unless we're using the pool itself. But that's a little bit more complicated, so I won't get into that. But just so you know, it isn't we, but does AIPP ever pick artists for certain projects that are on the table? I think, Alex, I'm going to go with your interpretation of that question. April, if we're not getting it right, please feel free to reframe the question and type it again into the chat if we haven't answered it correctly. Thanks.
She said that's how she meant it, so we're good. Thanks, April, and thank you, Sue. Any other final questions? Okay, we have one from Efren. Maria-Teresa, I'll read this one, if that works.
Oh, thanks.
No, you're good. To my understanding, AIPP pulls from the pool for projects already created. Are there opportunities for artists to propose their own project ideas to AIPP? Not necessarily for the selection of the artist that presented the idea, but proposing the idea and having it open to the pool as a whole. So I guess the short answer to this is we only really work with, we primarily work with capital improvement project funding, which is basically means that like our funding for artwork projects is tied to construction that the city is already doing. So that could be like building or renovating like a fire station, a new park, renovating a tennis center that the city owns. And then because of the ordinance, if that construction project is eligible for an AIPP project, that triggers the AIPP project, and then AIPP staff goes into motion, creating kind of the parameters and description for what that AIPP opportunity might look like. So yeah, in short, we almost all the time start with a project need and then go out and seek artists to apply for that opportunity. Our sister program, the cultural funding, is probably the better program to look to if you are looking for like funding for an individual idea. And again, I welcome any other comments that Maria Teresa or Sue would have about that question.
I actually might punt this one to Laura, who's currently on our call. She is answering the answer for the win right now almost.
Sure. So I just was, we were having a staff chat and I was just saying that yes, tempo is always a great option. Cultural funding is an option, especially the community initiatives program, which is open throughout the year for projects that are smaller budgets and more community driven. And then there's also another department within the city that's not under our purview, but it's called Neighborhood Partnering Program. And they also have funding available for, again, it's local community ideas that are generated by you, and then they help find space to put them in the neighborhood. So there are lots of options, but like Alex and Maria Teresa were saying, this specifically and kind of the general AIPP thing is for CIP projects that exist. It's called Neighborhood Partnering Program, and I'll throw the link in the chat for everyone as well.
Thanks, Laura. And that's a good point that Laura made. The Tempo program, that application, you do actually submit a proposal for that. So if you, if the question asker, if your idea in mind was more temporary focused, you might consider proposing that for Tempo.
Great, awesome. Whole team's on here for the win on these answers. And once again, we'll be doing a FAQ and writing these up if anything's getting missed or in this conversation.
Any final questions before we sign off? Okay. With that, we'll just say thank you guys so much for joining us. We're really pleased to have all of you guys and to welcome you into this space and for this opportunity. And yes, please feel free to reach out to Maria Teresa or myself if with any additional questions.
And know that just like this, if we can't answer them, we will find and do our best to find the person who can. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you taking time out of your evening.